If you want to make impressive steakhouse-style ribeyes at home, all you need is really good quality meat, the right amount of salt, and 72 hours. When I'm in the mood for steak, I go to the butcher and find the best piece of meat money can buy. And let me show you why. This is a beautiful bone-in ribeye. It's got a bone along the side, and that adds flavor and also helps it cook evenly. This piece of meat is clearly very tender, beautifully marbled. You can see all the fat running through the muscle, and this is gonna make an awesome meal in 3 days. The key to cooking a ribeye evenly is to get a consistent weight. We're seasoning by weight here, and we're using Diamond Crystal Kosher salt. It comes in a red box that looks like this, and it's the best. We're gonna use a teaspoon of this kosher salt to season each pound of steak. Since each of these steaks is about 1.5 pounds, we're gonna use 1.5 teaspoons per steak. You're seasoning from about 1 foot over the steaks. This is really important because this salt is great for sprinkling, but you can't be right down here. It's just gonna go in one spot. Lift it up and let it rain. And we wanna make sure we get the edges. We're gonna eat all of it, so we want all of it to taste awesome. Give it a little press, flip it over, and continue. We're gonna nibble on all of this stuff, so make sure it's all seasoned all the way around. So we've seasoned our steaks, and these steaks have been seasoned about 4 hours ago. You can see that the moisture is coming out of the steak, and it's dissolving the salt on the surface, all along here. Now, we're gonna let these steaks rest for about 72 hours, which seems like a really long time, but it's totally worth it. What's gonna happen in that amount of time is that the salt is gonna get sucked back down into the steak, and it's gonna season it to its core. This is really worth it because you can turn a really nice simple steak into something magical with just the addition of salt and thyme. So these steaks have been resting for 72 hours in the fridge. There's actually something chemical going on here. The salt helps to denature the protein in the steak, and all that means is that it's gonna make it tender and more delicious. They're dry to the touch. This is exactly what we're looking for. It looks delicious. These steaks are gonna be super worth it, but we're just gonna have to wait a little while longer. I've pulled them out of the fridge. We're gonna let them sit at room temperature for 1 hour while we preheat the oven. We've got this big 12-inch cast iron skillet. You want a cast iron skillet, it's gonna hold the heat and transfer the heat really well into the steaks. It's gonna give an awesome crust, but don't fear if you don't have one. You can do this in a stainless steel skillet. You can also definitely do it on the grill. The thing that's most important is that you've pre-seasoned the steaks. First step, get this pan ripping hot. It's been preheating over high heat for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I can feel that it is super hot. And now it's time to add the oil. We're using grapeseed oil because it has a very high smoke point and won't really taste like anything after it's cooked. So this is gonna be about 2 tablespoons of oil. You can see how the oil is shimmering in the pan. It's starting to get crazy hot. Right before we let those steaks hit the pan, we're gonna season them with a little bit of pepper on the outside. Just a few grinds of freshly ground black pepper. This pan is super hot, the oil has reached the smoke point, and now it's time to add the steaks. Be careful of splatters by adding the steaks away from your body. Both steaks should fit in the pan snugly. And remember, the enemies of caramelization are movement and moisture. So we are gonna leave these steaks alone. Let them cook for about 4 minutes, totally undisturbed, before we start flipping them. The great thing about this is that it only takes about 20 minutes to cook. So if you pre-season your steaks on Sunday, you could be having an awesome dinner Wednesday night. While your steaks are cooking, you're gonna get some splatters right around the edge of the stove. And I've got here just a little bit of paper towel dampened with some white vinegar. I found this is the best thing. It wipes really clean and it keeps your stove looking fresh while you're cooking. Now I'm gonna start searing these steaks around the edges, which is gonna get us beautiful color all the way around. Gonna add a couple cloves of garlic here. This is just gonna make a gorgeous aroma. I've got here some super high quality unsalted butter. I'm gonna arrange it around the steaks and around the pan, and that is going to help baste the steaks and keep them super tasty while they're roasting. All right, into the oven we go. So now we're basting the steaks, and this is gonna make sure that they stay really moist and they taste like butter. These garlic cloves are left whole so that they can infuse their flavor without burning. All right, we're gonna give them a flip, baste them some more. My gosh, this is already smelling amazing. Now back into the oven until they are perfectly medium rare. Just another 5 or 6 minutes. These steaks have been cooked on the stovetop and in the oven until they're about 120 degrees. And the reason I know that is because I used a thermometer. Don't be afraid to break one out and make sure your meat's cooked correctly. Now we're gonna let them rest, let them carry over, cook a little bit longer, about 10 minutes. What that's gonna do is make sure that the juices don't flow all over our cutting board, and also that the meat has a chance to come up to a medium rare. These steaks will go really well with any bright, acidic, tannic red wine. Get a good one. You spent a long time waiting for this. This is a rich, gorgeous Pinot Noir from Côte de Nuit. The first step to carving a steak like this is to trace your sharp knife right along the edge of the bone. The meat's gonna fall right off. Now, find the grain of your steak and start cutting across the grain. I like to cut this steak into about a 1/2 or 3/4 inch slices, which gives you enough to set on your plate, feel like you're eating steak, but helps to tenderize as you cut across the grain. The only thing this steak needs now is just a pinch of celery. It goes so well with red meat. I recommend you always finish your steaks with it. For the best steak ever, all you need is really high quality meat, a little bit of salt, and some time. It's worth the wait.